There is a hallucination that you have lived inside since the moment you took your first breath. It is a seamless, perfect illusion that feels so intensely real. You have likely never questioned its validity. You believe that you are looking at the world. You believe that you are hearing the S of reality. You believe that the ground beneath your feet is a solid, objective fact. But here is the terrifying and beautiful paradox that ancient wisdom has whispered for 5,000 years, and which modern neuroscience is only just beginning to prove. You have never experienced the world. Not once. You have only ever experienced your mind's reconstruction of the world. You are not seeing the stars. You are seeing a neurological painting of the stars. You are not feeling the wind, you are feeling a biological interpretation of pressure. We are trapped in a simulation of our own making, a theater of the mind where the projector, the screen, and the audience are all the same thing. And the most dangerous question, the one that shatters the glass of this theater and wakes the sleeper, is the one we almost never ask. We spend our entire existence asking questions that lead us further into the labyrinth. We ask how to accumulate more wealth, how to secure our legacy, how to manipulate the opinions of strangers, how to fix the unfixable past, and how to control the unpredictable future. We obsess over the architecture of our prisons, the news cycles, the political dramas, the career ladders, the social hierarchies. We polish the bars of the cage and call it progress. But there is a silent, vibrating question that sits at the center of your being, waiting for you to stop running long enough to hear it. It is a question that cuts through the noise of time like a diamond blade. Right now, in this precise, fleeting nanosecond, inside this cauldron of bio, electricity, and consciousness that you call a mind, what is actually happening? I do not mean what your story says is happening. I do not mean the narrative of I am sitting here, listening to a voice, thinking about my day. That is the surface. That is the label on the jar. I am asking about the contents of the jar. Beneath the language, beneath the history, beneath the identity you have carefully constructed over decades, what is the raw, unpolished texture of this moment? If you pause, if you truly freeze the frame of your life and look at the pixelated reality of your own experience, you will notice a haunting irony. We spend our entire lives inside this vessel of experience, yet we are like a fish that has swum across 7 oceans, but has never once noticed the water. We look through our experience to get to the objects of our desire. We treat our consciousness like a dirty window pane, something to look through, never something to look at. We are sleepwalkers. We drift through a fog of interpretation, convinced we are awake. We say, I am angry because he lied to me. We believe this is a statement of fact, but it is not. It is a layer of fog. The fact is something much more visceral, much more immediate. The fact is a sensation of heat in the chest, a tightening of the laryngeal muscles, a spike in cortisol, a rapid sequence of memory, images, and a mental label that screams betrayal. We do not see the heat or the tightness. We only see the story of the lie. The reasons we give for our suffering are the very veils that prevent us from understanding it. We are obsessed with the why and the who, completely blind to the what. The Buddha, that great scientist of the subjective universe, identified this cognitive error 20, 5 centuries ago, with a precision that rivals the most advanced psychological models of today. In the Sabbasava Sutta, he dissected the human mind and found 2 distinct modes of operation. He called them Yoniso Manasikara and Ayoniso Manasikara. These are not merely religious terms too, they are the difference between a life slavery and a life of sovereignty. Ayoniso Manasikara is unwise attention. It is attention that misses the root. It is the mind spinning in the centrifugal force of the story. When we are caught in this mode, we are like a man shot with a poisoned arrow who refuses to pull it out until he knows the name of the archer, the type of wood used for the bow, and the clan of the enemy. We replay the insult. We forecast the catastrophe. We analyze the unfairness. We churn the mud of the past and the dust of the future, creating a suffocating cloud of misery. We think we are solving the problem, but we are actually feeding it. We are pouring gasoline on the fire and wondering why it burns hotter. Yoniso Manasikara is wise attention. It is attention that traces the river back to the spring. It is radical, surgical intimacy with the present moment. It stops the story dead in its tracks and asks, what is the sensation of this emotion? Not why is it here, but what is it made of? It dissects the monster until it realizes the monster is just a shadow. It asks, what is the quality of this vibration in the solar plexus? Is this thought a solid object, or is it a passing cloud of energy? This is not about spiritual bypassing or pretending that your difficulties do not exist. It is about shifting your vantage point from the character in the movie to the screen on which it is projected. It is the shift from being lost in the storm to becoming the calm observer of the weather. In his inaugural transmission of truth, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha did not begin with metaphysics or gods or the origins of the cosmos. He did not offer comforting platitudes about the afterlife. He began with the brutal, unavoidable texture of human existence, Dukkha. Suffering, unsatisfactoriness, the friction of the wheel that is slightly off axle. He looked at the human condition and said, look at this. Verify this. Birth is trauma. Aging is a slow disintegration. Sickness is the betrayal of the biology. Death is the final separation. But he went deeper. He spoke of the subtle suffering, the union with the displeasing, the separation from the pleasing, the gnawing hunger of wanting what you do not have. He was pointing directly at the raw data of your life. He was asking you to become an empiricist of your own misery. He did not say, believe me. He said, Ipasiko, come and see. Look at the experience itself. Strip away the cultural conditioning, strip away the psychological defenses, and look at the machinery of your dissatisfaction. What you will find, if you look with a steady gaze, is that you are not reacting to reality. You are reacting to your perception of reality. Let us dismantle the mechanism of your perception, for this is where the great awakening lies. You believe you see a tree, but physics tells us a different story. Photons of electromagnetic radiation bouncing off the quantum field of the object strike the retina of your eye. These photons are dead. They carry no meaning, no color, no treeness. They are converted into electrochemical signals that travel down the optic nerve, plunging into the dark silence of the skull. There is no light inside your brain. There are only electrical impulses firing in the void. Your visual cortex takes this chaotic data and constructs a hologram. It paints the green of the leaves. It simulates the depth of the branches. It assigns the label tree. You are living in a reconstructed delay. By the time you see the tree, the moment has already passed. You are always living a fraction of a second in the past, viewing a rendering created by your own neural architecture. If this is true for a tree, how much more true is it for a complex social interaction? For an insult, for a look of rejection. The mind does not just construct the image it injects the image with meaning, with history, with emotional weight. This is the papanka, the mental proliferation that turns a simple wave into a lifelong trauma. The Buddha described this chain reaction in the Mahanidana Sutta with the precision of a software engineer debugging a corrupted code. He mapped the dependent origination, the causal links that bind us to the wheel of suffering. It begins with contact. The eye meets the form. The ear meets the. This is the spark. From contact arises Vedana feeling tone. This is the most critical and overlooked millisecond in human life. Before you think a thought, before you feel an emotion, there is a primal, biological assessment, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This happens in the primitive brain stem, faster than the speed of reason. If the Vedana is pleasant, the mind lurches forward. It grasps. It craves. It wants the feeling to last forever. This is the birth of addiction, of clinging, of the hungry G that can never be filled. If the Vedana is unpleasant, the mind recoils. It pushes away. It generates aversion, hatred, fear. It wants the experience to be annihilated. This is the root of violence and anxiety. If the Vedana is neutral, the mind zones out, falling into the trance of boredom and ignorance. This entire sequence contact, feeling, craving, reaction happens so fast that you think it is one single event. You hear a criticism and you feel instant anger. You think the criticism caused the anger. You do not see the intermediate steps. You do not see the interpretation. You do not see the flash of unpleasant feeling tone. You do not see the craving for the unpleasantness to cease. You only see the explosion. You are a puppet, jerked around by invisible strings of biological conditioning, dancing to a tune you did not choose. Let us slow down the film. Let us freeze the frame. Imagine someone speaks a harsh word to you. The waves hit your eardrum. That is physics. That is contact. An unpleasant sensation ripples through your nervous system. That is Vedana. Now, watch the mind at work. The mind accesses your memory bank. It recognizes the voice. It analyzes the definitions of the words. It compares this moment to your self-image. It decides, I am being disrespected. It decides, this is a threat. This is perception and mental formation. Then, and only then, does the biochemical flood of anger arise. If you could change the interpretation, the anger would not arise. If those same words were spoken in a language you did not understand, you would hear only. If those words were spoken by a person you knew was delirious with fever, you would feel compassion, not rage. The stimulus is identical. The reaction is opposite. What changed? The mind's construction changed. The story changed. Therefore, the reality changed. This is the key to the cage. If your experience is a construction, it can be deconstructed. If your suffering is a result of a process, the process can be interrupted. The tool for this interruption is simple, yet it is the hardest thing you will ever master. It is called sati mindfulness. But let us strip this word of its commercial, watered-down baggage. Sati means memory in a specific sense, remembering to come back. remembering to look. It is the act of engaging the observer self. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha gave the instruction manual. He did not say analyze your feelings. He said, when feeling a pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a pleasant feeling. When feeling a painful feeling, one understands, I feel a painful feeling. This is deceptively simple. It's almost childish. But try it. Try it when you are in the grip of a rage that makes your hands shake. Try when you are drowning in a grief that feels like it will stop your heart. To stand on the bank of the river of emotion and simply say, there is anger here, without jumping into the river, this requires the courage of a warrior. This is the difference between I am angry and there is anger. When you say I am angry, you are fusing your identity with a transient chemical storm. You are claiming the anger as yourself. You are solidifying a cloud. When you say there is anger, you are acknowledging the phenomenon without becoming it. You are creating a gap, a holy, spacious gap between the observer and the observed. In that gap lies your freedom. You already possess this capacity. It is not a superpower reserved for Himalayan yogis. It is a fundamental function of consciousness. Let me prove it to you. Right now, as you hear these words, notice the sensation of your body sitting or standing. Notice the pressure of gravity. Before I mentioned it, that sensation was invisible to you. But the moment you turned the spotlight of attention toward it, it appeared. You did not create the sensation. You did not think about the sensation. You simply noticed it. That noticing is pure awareness. It is unconditioned. It is silent. It is the sky in which the clouds of your thoughts float. The problem is not that we cannot see. The problem is that we are addicted to the content of what we see. We are like moviegoers so engrossed in the thriller on the screen that we have forgotten we are sitting in a theater. We grip the armrests in terror. We weep, we cheer, completely forgetting that it is just light and shadow. The practice of Vipassana insight is simply the act of turning around and looking at the projector. But do not mistake this for an intellectual exercise. You cannot think your way out of a prison made of thought. You cannot use the mind to fix the mind. You must drop beneath the level of language. You must descend into the somatic reality of the body. When anxiety arises, where do you feel it? Is it a fluttering in the stomach? A band of steel around the chest? A heat behind the eyes? Investigate it with the curiosity of a scientist discovering a new species. So this is what anxiety feels like. Interesting, it vibrates. It pulses. It changes. When you look at a sensation with this kind of dispassionate, microscopic precision, a miracle happens. The sensation loses its narrative power. It stops being my existential crisis and becomes unpleasant vibration in the thoracic region. It is still uncomfortable, yes, but it is no longer a catastrophe. It is just physics. It is just energy moving through the system. And because everything in this universe is subject to the law of anicca impermanence, you will see that if you do not feed the sensation with more thoughts, it will eventually dissolve. It has no choice. It arises, it abides for a time, and it passes away. This is the meaning of viharati, dwelling. The practitioner dwells, observing the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind. It is a relaxed, continuous abiding. It is not a forceful concentration, furrowing your brow and straining to be spiritual. It is the gentle, relentless patience of the earth receiving the rain. It is sitting by the side of the stream, watching the leaves float by. Some leaves are beautiful, some are rotting, some are poisonous. You do not grab the beautiful ones. You do not fight the poisonous ones. You just watch them flow. But here is the trap. The mind is a master of disguise. It will try to turn watching into another form of doing. You will try to watch your anxiety in order to make it go away. Away, this is not watching. This is subtle aggression. This is the ego trying to control the experience through the back door. If you watch your pain with the secret agenda of getting rid of it, you are not accepting the present moment. You are resisting it. And what you resist persists. The paradox of alchemy is this: only when you fully accept the presence of the pain, only when you surrender the war against it, does it begin to transform. The Buddha placed avijja, ignorance, as the first link in the chain of suffering. This ignorance is not stupidity. It is simply the lack of this light. It is the darkness in the room. When you flip the switch of awareness, the darkness does not fight back. It does not argue. It simply vanishes. You cannot have full awareness and full ignorance in the same space. When you truly see the anger as a physiological event, you cannot be blindly possessed by it. The possession requires your unconscious participation. It requires you to be asleep. When you wake up to the process, you create a space for wisdom. This is where karma can be rewritten. Karma is not fate. Karma is action. It is the momentum of your past patterns pushing you toward a predictable future. If you always yell when you are insulted, that is your karmic momentum. But in the moment of clear seeing, in that gap between the insult and the reaction, you have a choice. You can let the old pattern fire, or you can choose a new response. You can choose silence. You can choose humor. You can choose to walk away. You can choose to speak the truth without venom. This is the breaking of the chain. This is the cessation of the wheel. You are no longer a victim of your past. You are the architect of your future. This freedom is not a distant goal awaiting you after 20 years of cave meditation. It is available in micro doses right now. Every time you catch yourself drifting in a daydream and gently bring your attention back to the sensation of your hands touching the desk, that is a moment of liberation. Every time you feel the surge of irritation in traffic, and instead of honking, you take a deep breath and feel the tightness in your shoulders, that is a moment of enlightenment. These moments may be brief. You may fall back into the dream 1,000 times a day. That does not matter. The path is not a straight line of perfection, and it is a circle of returning. The failure to stay present is part of the practice. The moment you realize you were lost, you are found. That realization is the awareness. Do not judge yourself for wandering. Celebration the return. The mind has been conditioned for millions of years to scan for danger, to crave pleasure, to build the ego. It has the momentum of a freight train. You cannot stop a freight train with a single wall. You stop it by applying the brakes gently, consistently, mile after mile. That is the practice. Patience, gentleness, relentless return. So, the question remains, hanging in the air like a ringing bell. What is actually happening? Not your analysis, not your philosophy, not your hope or your fear. What is the texture of this breath? What is the hum of this silence? What is the living, vibrating energy of this very life? pulsing through you before you have time to name it. The world you think you know is a map. The experience you are having right now is the territory. Throw away the map. Touch the ground. Look at the light. Listen to the without labeling the source. Feel the feeling without the story of me. In this direct, naked contact with reality, the illusion of separation dissolves. The sufferer and the suffering are seen as movements of the same energy. And in that seeing, there is a peace that passes all understanding. It is not a peace that comes from the world being perfect. It is the peace of the fish finally recognizing the water. It is the peace of the dreamer waking up, looking around the theater, and smiling at the play. It starts with one breath. It starts with one question. Right now, what is actually happening?